He has. He totally has. Let me ask you some NFC questions here.
Okay.
Jason, who wins the NFC East in your opinion this coming season?
I still think, I just believe the Eagles have the talent, but like it's just it's hard to buy into a team that doesn't have leadership, right? And that the coach is not that guy, right? Um, you know, I think he's the right coach at the right time for what they were trying to do, but I don't think he has enduring leadership because everybody questions him. Jalen Carter, not a leader, especially on a big contract. Like, like, wow. I mean, that I know you got to pay the talent, but
Listen what I said. I think they made a mistake in not waiting until the offseason. I
all
think
right.
that that's I think that they should have waited to give him a contract extension in March. Well, they gave it to him.
Look. I understand, and Howie is a numbers guy, and this is the problem. Again, Howie's a great GM. Make no mistake about it. But everybody has an Achilles heel, and the Achilles heel for Howie is that I don't know that he necessarily understands the locker room intuitively. Like Joe Banner was not a locker room guy, and he was great at working the salary cap, maybe one of the greatest in terms of working the salary cap, but didn't understand the cohesion of a team. And Jalen Carter, like your best play, when you pay a guy like that, that dude has to be one of your leaders. And Jalen Carter's not. I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He deserves the money from a talent standpoint. But I always go back to if in the first game of the season you're getting kicked out of the game for spitting on a guy in the first play of the game, like where's your head? You're just a knucklehead. You're not a leader. You're a knucklehead. You're not Fletcher Cox. You're not Jason Kelsey. You're a knucklehead. And you need the Jason Kelseys and the Fletcher Coxes of the world, great players who also play to it. You need Jason Peters, a guy who intuitively understood a locker room. Like we talked about the example, Jason Peters ran the music in the locker room, and that's an underrated thing. As players, whoever runs the music, like you can get fights over music in a locker room. It's stupid, but it happens. And Jason Peters was great at it. I mean, stupid stuff that can get in the way of guys getting along. And music is one of them. And so you got to have guys like that who handle stuff like that.
You know what? I don't think the fans truly get this. I want to tell you a quick story. So
Okay.
Jimmy Johnson was going on a recruiting trip. And in the locker room, we had a guy by the name of George Meyer Jr. Played a little
Yeah.
bit for the Niners, was our
Cool.
linebacker, okay?
Yeah.
He wanted to put country music on.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin had rap going on. I'm in there working out.
And Luther Campbell, he had two
Wait.
live crew.
I didn't really care. So all of a sudden there was a pushing match that went on. Well, Gary Stevens called us up to the team meeting room. All of us are in there. Meeting goes on. Everybody, hey, Jimmy's not here. I'm here. Everybody's got to be loving one another. Michael Irvin goes over. And we had a tiered like this. We had a tiered auditorium. Michael Irvin goes over and goes, George, man, I'm sorry for pushing you around like that. He put his hand up. When George put his hand up, Michael Irvin went just like this and broke his jaw, knocked 10 teeth out right in front of me. It was over music. I freaking could not believe. And it was one of the greatest one punches I have ever seen in my life.
And a cheap shot because he was apologizing.
Total cheap shot. Total cheap shot. Just went down. And I'm going like, over music? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And sure enough, man, that's exactly
music is one, like women and music. Nothing destroys a locker room faster than guys who are, guys who are dating other guys, women, oh my God, like stuff like that is craziness. But music is the dumbest of them all.
dude. It
Right?
really is.
But it does. But it happens.
It
And
does.
guys
It does
and fans
divide
don't
us.
know. Fans have no idea how bad it is.
So let me ask you, Brian Schottenheimer, were you surprised on how well he did in his first year as the offensive play caller and head coach with the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, I get it. The overall record wasn't where it needed to be. They were number one in total offense, and they have to fix on the defense, which they're working on this last offseason here. But he was a pretty good play caller. I mean, that was a
Yeah,
pretty good looking offense. Were you surprised?
no, they got good players. I mean, those two wide receivers are awesome, and Pickens was playing for a contract last year. Now we'll see how Pickens is. I mean, Pickens when Pickens wants to play, Pickens is as good as anybody in the league. And then you got CD on the other side, who's right there. Now CD had a couple of bad games. I know people want to nitpick on CD, but overall he's a great player. Now you throw in a good running back who can clean up on all the cheap yards that you can get when you have receivers who are that good, who force the safeties to play back or force the corners off. And when you have a running back who can then say, okay, I'm going to get 6 where there was 5, and I'm going to get 7 when there's 6 and stuff like that. And that's what they did. You can gain a lot of yards, but you got to win game. I mean, play calling is nice, but like the flip side of that is when the other team's putting up 40 on you, do they really care?
No.
Like that was I got in arguments with Rob Ryan about this one time when the Raiders were going through that big run in the 2000s when they had that really high ranked defense, but they were winning like 3-4 games, 2 games a season, right? And everybody's talking about, oh, look how great this defense is. It's number if they could just get an offense. It's like, no, those numbers fool you. Their defense wasn't really that great. What happened was the other teams scored 20 points, and they would sit there and say, well, those guys can't score, so why do we have to even try? Like, so we'll just run, we'll run it out. We'll play the clock in the second half of the game. Once we're up like 20-6 or 20-10, and if it gets to be a game, then okay, we might have to put up some more points. But it's like the total yardage numbers were totally skewed by the fact that the Raiders offense was so pathetic for about a 5 to 8 year run during that period of time that like the Raiders defense didn't even really have to try that hard to put up numbers. Win games, different thing. Put up numbers, not such a hard thing.
What do you think the Commanders are going to be this year?
Look, I like the team. I like the coach. The quarterback, it's like we're in the middle of a run where we're playing a lot of 7-on-7 quarterbacks, thinking that those guys can win long term. And when I say that, I mean skinny dudes who don't think they're going to get hit. Okay, who don't get hit in college. Jaden Daniels is one of those dudes. Okay, to a certain extent, Lamar Jackson is one of those dudes. To a large extent, Kyler Murray is one of those dudes. The Bryce Young
Young, Carolina.
Yeah, in Carolina. That's another dude. They're all these guys who put up numbers in high school offenses or put up numbers in the college level, and everybody's like, oh, you got to take that guy. You got to have him. Yeah, let's see how they last when they get hit by real men. Okay? Let's just see how long it goes. I mean, Brock Purdy's that kind of, and Brock Purdy's actually built sturdy, right? Like he's a little thicker cut than you think. Even he doesn't take that kind of damage very well. We're just in that era. It's like, okay, the guy gets the ball out, he does this, he does that. Yeah, he also just gets chewed up and spit out when he gets hit a bunch of times. So is that guy going to be on the field?